Hello and welcome to FPL Waffle, a Game Week 38 review, final game week of the season. A quick look at how I got on in Game Week 37. I'm going to focus on some differential punts that you could look at in order of who I think is best for this last game week of the season. Some of them may depend on team news, but most of them won't. So hopefully it's helpful either way, whether you're able to stick around before the deadline to look out for that team news, or whether you just need to get the team in early, like I might need to do myself. So without further ado, let's whip into the screen share and have a look at how I got on in game week 37, which in the end, okay, it worked out all right, mainly because Edison didn't play any minutes in both matches. So I got a cheeky Everson off the bench for 9. My Shaw coming in for 10 points was a good transfer, even though he came in for Trippier, who got 9. But then I still had a Fabian Schär that came in off the bench for me for Grealish was 6. So my two bench players really turned a red arrow into a green arrow, to be honest. Like I got a green arrow up to 918k in the world. So hopefully I should be all right to stay within the top mill this year. Not as high as I was hoping for this year after a 65k finish last year, but we'll take it and move on to next season. I've learned a lot from this season. Duncan Trent, disappointing. Matoma, Rashford, Salah, McAllister, all with some solid scores. Havertz, I mean, 4 games for Havertz, 0 returns. It was a letdown in the end, but what can I expect? Felix, in hindsight, was the one, but Havertz got the most minutes. So what can you do, eh? I think I'm going to learn from a decision as rash as Havertz for next time. Haaland captain with 12 does the job. Most people captained him. And then my bench, yeah, like nothing doing. Edison Grealish came off. Solanke with 2. Bottom of 8, in hindsight, would have been better than Shah, but you go Shah all day long, right? Because he's got the goal for it. So happy enough with my score this week. Finally got a green arrow after weeks of red arrows, or at least it's felt that way. And looking to the sort of punts for this game week. So here's my order. Harry Kane, number 1 pick. I'm going to say away to Leeds. They're still playing for the Europa Conference League, so they need to win for that if they really want to get in it. Kane's been scoring every week. He's number 1 basically because of reliability. You're paying for reliability of Kane. I think he's got the highest chance of returning this week. He's been scoring every week. Leeds is one of the best fixtures on paper. Although Leeds are fighting to avoid relegation, they're going to have to push to try and get a result. And I think, yeah, Spurs want to win as well. Kane's going to want to score. Might be his final game for Spurs. I think you're paying for reliability of Kane. So he's my number 1 pick if you can get to him. Secondly, this is largely dependent on early team news. A Liverpool forward away to relegated Southampton on the last day. If you hear before the deadline that a Nunes or a Firmino or a Diaz or a Gakpo is starting and you've got a nice slot on your team for them, I think they're a really tasty punt. And arguably, you could put them above Kane because Kane at the moment has been ticking over 1 goal a game. He might get more against Leeds. Leeds is the fixture he could do that in for sure. But, from some of the sort of score predictions I've seen out of all of these fixtures on the last day, a Liverpool mauling is the one that people are predicting. If there's going to be goals in it, I think Liverpool are a team that could destroy Southampton if they wanted to. So if you know you've got a starting asset up front for them, I think it's a great shout. So if you can stick around for early team news, I think I'd definitely go for a Liverpool forward as I kill a spider on my hand. Third, Eze. Everyone's hopping on the Eze bandwagon, but for good reason. The man has been playing unbelievable football. They're home to Forest last day, who have nothing to play for. The goal he scored the other week was. As I'm a Brighton fan, so like I don't like bigging up Palace, but it was such a beautiful goal. Elise swaz one across field to Eze, just the most nonchalant, perfect first touch out of the air. Just dips inside and absolutely slams one into the bins with a crispest strike. And he's just been doing that week after week, just gliding around players, getting the goals, getting the assists. He's playing unbelievable right now. So I think Eze, there's good reason why he's being the most transferred in midfield at the moment. And I think you'd have very good reason to bring him in this week. So he's my third sort of best kind of pick, if you like. The Liverpool players can merge into whichever one of those you want to go for. Fourth, I've put in Alvarez. I think he's very likely to start. He got benched against Brighton. Last game of the season, City have already won the league. I could see a game where Haaland and Alvarez start together. I could see a world where Alvarez starts, Haaland gets some minutes off the bench. It's hard to really know. And again, early team news could be useful here. But if Alvarez is starting, best team in the league, Brentford are going to be pushing to win. because they have to win to try and get Conference Leagues. That could leave space in behind for City. They want to win, end on a high. I'd have thought at the end of winning the league. I think he's a good shout. I think he's a good shout. Outside of that, Foden, Mahrez, Grealish. I don't really know who's going to start. If you get the team news, you might want to go for them. But I feel like Alvarez is most likely to play as a differential. So he's my pick there. For Arsenal, Odegaard for reliability. Trossard and Saka both have knocks apparently. So if you hear one of them is starting with the early team news, I do really like Trossard this week. He's a sort of player that I think might want to prove himself last day. As a Brighton fan, I know he's got potential to do really well if he wants to on a given day. Saka, we know, is Arsenal's talisman, and Odegaard. If you don't have time for the early team news and you want to go for an Arsenal player, he's almost 100% start. So he's your safe choice. Against Wolves at home, it's a good fixture. I'd like to think they'd want to end the season on a high after what has been a good season for them, although they haven't won the league. But there is a chance because they've got nothing to play for. Like it might not be as exciting as you'd hope, and Wolves can defend well. So I'm not completely sold on Arsenal for this game week. I think there's better options, hence these guys coming above them. But I still think they're a good shout. Then we're into the Dwight McNeil territories. Everton home to Bournemouth, nice fixture. They need to sort of try and win to cement survival. He's on set pieces. He's got a goal threat recently. I think he's a good shout. Like an Iwobi Doucouré, you might want to consider as sort of outside punts. But if you want to go for an Everton mid, cheap, McNeil's probably the one. But with Calvert-Lewin injured, I don't know, maybe that reduces how many sort of goals Everton might get. I'm predicting it to be a low-scoring game, to be honest. It's going to be a 1-0, 2-0 to Everton, I think. So, there again, I think you've got better picks with higher ceilings than him if you can get to them. Leeds, I've then got in there, again, fighting for survival. Harrison and Rodrigo, both are my sort of two picks there if you want to go for Leeds. They're playing Spurs who want to win as well, so it might not be as easy for them as you'd think, but I think it could be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be more like a sort of like high-scoring goal kind of game to try and get the win rather than a 0-0 game because they're both attacking teams. So with leaky defenses this season. So yeah, I think they're not a bad shout if you want to go for a Leeds player. Outside of that, Leicester v West Ham. Leicester need to beat West Ham ideally to stay up. Maddison is their sort of main man to do the job, I think, if you want to go there, assuming he's starting. And then if you wanted to go against Leicester with their awful defence, well, they did nick a cleaner against Newcastle, then Jared Bowen could be the play for West Ham. So if you wanted to go for someone in that fixture, they'd be the guys for me for either team, both around the same price point. But I think there's cheaper, sort of more reliable players this week in the likes of Eze personally. But yeah, these could be nice differential punts if you want to go there. Some extra picks to chuck in. Heung-min Son, if you can afford him, I would put him a much higher up the list. But I think realistically, you're not going to be able to afford an 11.5 mil or whatever he is midfielder taking up a midfield slot. But if you can get to him and want to get to him, I think he's a really great shout at Leeds this week. I haven't included the likes of Bruno Fernandes because I think a lot of people have him, but I think him at home to Fulham would be good. A differential punt in Garnacho could well play, and with Anthony now injured, or Sancho, you could go there. Again, early team news you might want to wait for that. Watkins, Villa need to beat us as a Brighton fan to get into Conference League, as the Brentford against City, hence why Mbomo and Watkins, their two strikers and penalty takers, I believe, are there. So if you wanted to go there, there's a few more guys to think about. And then in order of defenders to bring in, I don't think there's loads of good defender options this week because there's going to be a lot of goals, I think, last day. If you wanted a defender, I'm eyeing up a Simicast because Robertson is a slight injury doubt. It's the last game of the season. Liverpool have nothing to play for. Their fifth place is secured. There's nothing that can change fifth place, up or down. I just think, why would they take risk on Robertson? Simicast hasn't had loads of minutes this season. Having a Liverpool fullback against Southampton last day for that price, I think is really tempting. And if you can wait for early team news to see if he gets in, I think he's my number one pick, to be honest. If he's starting, he's my number one pick. You've then got Tierney, again, early team news dependent, if he's starting, if he's fit enough, etc. Home to Wolves, great fixture defensively, also attackingly, potentially. He's my number two. Everton v Bournemouth, I think Dyche is going to set up really defensive as he always does. He's going to look to get the clean sheet and nick a goal for the win. So Tarkowski and Mina, if you wanted to go for a defender, they also offer that goal threat from corners. I think Bournemouth aren't great from corners or something defensively, so could be a good shout. So if you wanted to go for one of them, clean sheet potential slight chance for goal from the corner or whatever, free kick, set piece, etc. I'd go for one of them. And then Porro, I've put in as a bit of a punt for Spurs. He was benched last week, so you'd like to think he'll play this week. He's just a fun player. He's been attacking well. There's always a chance for clean sheet. I don't think Spurs will keep clean against Leeds, but you never know if the nerves get to them and they just can't put the ball in the net. And then yeah, he's got attacking potential. So he's the sort of player that you could see a haul from on his day. And he has done that already this season. If you wanted to go for a massive punt on a Porro, I quite like it. So there's my sort of my differential picks. In terms of my own transfer plans, as it stands, so my team is looking something like this. There's a few doubts chucked in there. I think Grealish should be fine from what Pep said in his presser. Shaw's a bit more 50-50, I think. They have actually put a 50% chance playing on here. So I'm going to hope he starts. And I think I'm going to take a very rash -8 for a bit of fun last day. We're going to go Havertz up to Kane, my number one pick. Practice what you preach, James. To get to Kane, I'll do Grealish down to Eze because, like I said, again, practice what you preach. I just think he's one of the best midfield picks this week for affordability as well. And then to fund that and have a bit of fun too, assuming Simicast is starting, and I guess I'll look out for team news for this if I can. And we're meeting with some friends not long before the deadline, so we'll see how it goes. I might have to quickly go for a toilet break and squeeze in the transfers. I'll go for a Simicast, and if so, for a -8, very rash. But I then will have. I might start Everson in goal ahead of Edison because home to West Ham, Leicester fighting for their lives to stay in the league. Edison might not even start. Pep might even do a random one keeper plays a half, another keeper play half. I don't think he's going to do that, but you just never know. And I just don't think I'm not even going to enjoy rooting for Edison. He's been such a troll all season. Everson just got a 9 points. I think I'd just be more passionate about Everson sort of putting in a shift against West Ham to stay up than Edison last day of the season at Brentford. Brentford need to win to get Conference Leagues. You'd think there's a decent chance they get a goal in that because they'll be pushing. I think I'm just going to start Everson. Be more fun. I want it more, etc. So that's my thinking of that. At the back, I'll then have Trent, Shaw. Hopefully he can get the start. And Simicast as a back three. I'll have Dunk to come in if not. Brighton captain. He might want a goal on his last game of the season at Villa. Who knows? And then Botman will be my last bench, I think, away to Chelsea. I think Chelsea will probably score at Stamford Bridge, but the way they're playing, nothing is guaranteed, is it? Let's be honest. Then I'll have a midfield five of McAllister, Matoma, Salah, Eze, and Rashford. I'll be very happy with that. And up front, I'll have Haaland, and there I'll have Kane, and I'll have Solanke first bench away to Everton. If anyone's going to score for Bournemouth or Everton, it could well be Solanke on pens too. I don't think they had a penalty all season, something ridiculous like that. So that'd be my team. It'd be a 3-5-2. I'd be very happy with it on paper. And the captaincy wise is a tough one. I still don't feel like I've fully decided in my head. If Haaland starts, it's hard to look past him. All kind of week long, I've been thinking Salah. Is there a chance he's rested against Southampton in the game that doesn't matter? There's a chance, but you'd expect him to start as their main guy. And as a midfielder, clean sheet point, higher points for goal, etc. I kind of want to go Salah. If I want to go for absolute reliability and I sort of am worried about not being able to see early team news, captaining Kane might be the play. He's almost 100% to start. Well, he is if he's fit, because they need to win the game for Conference League on penalties. Away to Leeds is a good fixture. He's the one that he feels like the safest choice. Salah feels like the one I want to go for in terms of thinking most point potential. There's a slight chance of benching, but unlikely. And then you've got Haaland, who has been great all season, but there's a chance he's benched. Away to Brentford isn't the easiest. I don't think I'm going Haaland, so it's going to be a toss-up for me between Kane and Salah. And maybe I'll do a Twitter poll for that one or two of you that vote to tell me who to go for, assuming both play, or at least maybe that there will be if I have to submit my transfers early and we have no early team news, who would you go for? So maybe, so take into account the reliableness of Kane, the slight chance of rotation for Salah, but there's a high chance we're thinking he starts. Who would you go for? Maybe you guys can help me out with that as a final day decision. So that's what I'm thinking. I'll leave it there to stop the video from being too long. So we'll stop the old screen share. But yeah, for now, I hope you have a good final game week. I hope you've enjoyed fantasy football this season more than getting stressed. I've learned a lot this season. Sort of avoiding the template at times, going too differential has punished me a bit. So I might do like a game week review after this week, do some sort of things I've learned from the season, like small season review, but nothing too long, like in a week or so's time. And then I'll probably have a break from FPL for the summer, and then we'll start maybe looking at a draft for pre-season teams to come out heading into the next season. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, have a good week, good game week 38. Enjoy it. I'd say if you're not, if you're in a position where you can just have a bit of fun with your transfers like me, why not do a -8? Go for it. Put in some players you want to put in. Have some fun with it. Enjoy it. It's a game that should be enjoyed. Final day of the season, 10 matches all played at the same time. It should be one of the most fun sort of Premier League sort of game weeks of the season. So enjoy it. Hope you do well. And for now, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Au revoir.